You are 40. You have never owned a house. Your friends have mortgages, equity, and opinions. You have a lease and a number in an account they will never see. Last Sunday, your cousin asked the question again at dinner. When are you going to buy? She said it the way people say get well soon, like you were sick and just needed the right medicine. You smiled. You poured water. You did not tell her that at 40. For the first time in your adult life, you could leave this city in 30 days and nothing would break. Not a mortgage, not a rate lock, not a 30-year promise made to a building that does not know your name. You never bought a house. At 40, you were free. Not rich, free. And the people who called you irresponsible still cannot leave their zip code without a sale, a loss, and a conversation with a bank. This is not a rent versus buy spreadsheet. This is what one refusal cost you, and what it paid. You are 24, Saturday in May. An open house on a street where every lawn looks practiced. The realtor wears a blazer that does not quite fit. He calls you guys. He shakes your hand too long. He walks you past a kitchen that smells like fresh paint and ambition. He stops in a bedroom with a window facing a fence. He says starter home. He says first step. He says if you wait, the market will leave you behind. The number on the sheet is more than your parents paid for the house you grew up in. You do the math on your phone in the bathroom with the fan running. Down payment, closing costs, a monthly payment that would own every Friday for the next 30 years. Your girlfriend stands in the empty bedroom and says it feels like a future. You say it feels like a sentence. She laughs. You do not. That night, you sit at the kitchen table under a light that hums. You write two numbers on a piece of paper. One is the payment. One is what that payment could become if it never bought drywall, never bought a roof, never bought the right to say mine. The second number is large enough that you read it twice. You fold the paper. You put it in a drawer. You tell no one. Monday at work, a coworker shows photos of the place he just put an offer on. Everyone gathers. Everyone congratulates. You nod at the right moments. You do not know it yet, but this is the first time you refuse to buy permission. Permission to feel adult. Permission to feel finished. Permission to stop answering a question that was never really about housing. You are 27. The market is climbing like it has somewhere urgent to be. Every group chat is a listing. Every coworker has a closing date. A friend named Graham buys a condo with a balcony the size of a yoga mat. He posts the keys. Fire emojis for an hour. At lunch, someone asks when you are getting in. You say you are still looking. Looking is a lie you use to buy time. That weekend, a family dinner. Your uncle puts his hand on your shoulder between the salad and the main course. He says renting is throwing money away. He says it like a fact, not an opinion. Your mother nods the way mothers nod when they are worried and trying not to show it. Your father says nothing, which is worse. Silence from a man who usually has a take feels like a verdict. You drive home in a car that is paid off. You open the drawer. The number has grown, quietly. The way things grow when nobody is watching. You put the paper back. The doubt has a voice now. It sounds like your uncle. It says you are falling behind a race everyone else already finished. It says adulthood has a front door, and you are still standing on the sidewalk. You do not know it yet, but pity is forming in the mouths of people who love you. Pity always arrives dressed as concern. You are 30. The sentence starts following you into rooms. Still renting? Said with a smile that is not a smile. Said at birthdays. Said at weddings. Said by people who have not run a single number on their own lives in years. At a housewarming, you stand in Graham's kitchen holding a plastic cup of something sweet. Graham's wife gives a tour. Square footage. Granite, the guest room they will use for a baby someday. Someone raises a glass to homeownership. Everyone claps. You clap too. Your hands know the choreography even when your chest does not. On the drive home, your partner is quiet. Halfway there, she says she just wants a place that is ours. You say the apartment is ours. She says you know what she means. You do. Ownership as proof. Ownership as a public answer to a private fear. That night, you open a real estate app in bed, with the brightness all the way down. You scroll. Your thumb hovers over schedule a tour. You think about the paper in the drawer. You think about Graham's granite. You think about the way people clapped like a mortgage was a graduation. You close the app. You sit in the dark for 20 minutes. You are not okay. Not because of money. Because of the way still renting landed in your chest like a diagnosis. The next morning, a coworker named Ingrid stops by your desk. Ingrid is 41. Ingrid has rented the same place for 12 years. She says, "For what it is worth, I stopped explaining myself at 35. Best decision I ever made." You do not know what to say. She walks away. Something moves. You do not know what it is yet, but something moves. You are 33. Rates are low. Everyone is refinancing. Everyone is upgrading. A realtor cold calls you on a Wednesday. She says she has something perfect. Perfect is a word people use when they want you to stop thinking. You almost go. You almost go because you are tired of being the exception in every room. You tour a townhouse on a Tuesday evening. Hardwood, good light, a backyard the size of a parking space. Your partner's face changes in a way you have been waiting years to see. Hope is a hard thing to watch when you are the one holding the brakes. The numbers almost work. Almost. That night you run them again at the table. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance. The opportunity cost of a down payment that would stop compounding the day it becomes drywall. You look at your partner. You say, if we do this, we are choosing a city, a job market, a version of the next 30 years we cannot easily undo. She is quiet for a long time. She says she is scared of waking up at 45, still explaining. You say you are scared of waking up at 45, unable to leave. Neither of you is wrong. That is what makes it cruel. You walk out of the deal on a Thursday. You do not celebrate. You feel something closer to grief. Grief for a life you did not choose, and grief for the approval that came with it. You do not know it yet, but this was the night you almost broke. The paper stays in the drawer. The number keeps growing while everyone else's square footage does. You are 36. The market spikes. Friends who bought at the right time look like prophets. Friends who stretched look rich on paper and tired in person. Graham messages the group chat. His place is up 40%. He says he wishes you had listened. You wish you could show him a screenshot. You cannot. Numbers like yours do not get fire emojis. They get silence. That year, a couple from college loses a bidding war by 80,000. They stretch on the next one. They win. 6 months later, one of them is laid off. The house does not care. The payment does not care. You watch it from a one-bedroom that still costs less than their interest alone. You feel something you are not proud of. Not joy. Relief that their story is not yours. Then guilt for the relief. Then clarity, cold and useful. A house is not a trophy. A house is a commitment with a monthly voice. And some commitments buy freedom. Some commitments buy a beautiful cage with better lighting. You start measuring life differently. Not in bedrooms. In exits. Can you leave this job without panic? Can you take a year in another city? Can you say no without a bank's permission? The answer is almost. Not yet, but almost. You open the drawer more often now. Not out of panic, out of calibration. The paper is soft at the edges. The number has a weight the apartment never did. You are 38. Something shifts. Not in the floor plan, in the questions people ask. The still renting gets quieter. Or maybe you stopped offering explanations, and silence starved the question. A friend calls on a weeknight. Her voice is careful. She is underwater on a place she bought at the peak. She asks how you stayed out, not accusing, hungry. You tell her the truth. You were never smarter. You were just more afraid of being stuck than of looking behind. She is silent for a long time. She says she envies that. Envy is a word nobody used on you at 27. At 38, it starts showing up in lowered voices. Your landlord offers a longer lease and a paint job. He says good tenants are rarer than good units. You realize something the market never puts in the brochure. Stability can be rented. Belonging can be rented. A life can be built on a foundation you do not own, as long as the foundation is options. You open the drawer. You do not put the paper back this time. You leave it on the counter next to the keys. The number is no longer theoretical. It is a door. It is a no you can afford to say. You are 40. An ordinary Tuesday. You do not set an alarm. You make coffee. You sit at the window and watch a street you could leave. Your phone has no mortgage app, no escrow email, no rate alert dressed up as urgency. Last month, a job offer came from another city. You said you would think about it. You actually could. Graham cannot. Not without listing, staging, waiting, hoping the appraisal matches the story he told himself. Your cousin cannot. Most of the people who asked when you were buying cannot move without a sale, a loss, and a negotiation with a building that owns a piece of their calendar for decades. You never bought a house. At 40, you were free. Free is not a mansion. Free is not a flex. Free is the ability to change your life without asking a lender for permission. You think about the open house at 24. The blazer that did not fit. The word starter. You think about the night you almost signed. You think about Ingrid and her refusal to perform a rival. You think about the paper, soft at the edges, still telling the truth. You did not win a race. You left a race that required a 30-year uniform and a smile at every housewarming. Somewhere right now, someone is 24, standing in an empty bedroom, being told the market will leave them behind. The fan is running. The number on the sheet is larger than anything their parents ever signed. They feel the question forming in their family already. When are you going to buy? They think the answer has to be a house. It does not. Sometimes the answer is a number that stays liquid. Sometimes the answer is a life that can still turn when the job ends, when the city sours, when the person you love wants a different horizon. Maybe you already chose. Maybe you are about to walk into an open house this weekend. Maybe you are 36 and underwater and reading this like a mirror. Maybe you bought and it was right for you, And this is not an attack. It is a reminder that the uniform is optional. Either way, there is a question waiting in your lease, your rate, your drawer. The question was never, when are you going to buy? The question was, what are you unwilling to trade for the appearance of arrival? Whether you answer it is up to you. If you want to see what happens when freedom costs you being understood for a decade, stay.